Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 120 of What Does This Button Do? It's an educational show about smartphones and tablets with us, Geeks on Tour. Hey,
Hi.
can you see us now? Very cool. I'm Jim, and here with my wife, Chris, we are Geeks on Tour. Do you think your smartphone is smarter than you? And do you have questions about your iPhone or your Android or any of these devices? Well, let's do a quick trip. You want to do a quick tip?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, my quick tip to start this week is that Mrs. Geek's guide to Google Photos has been updated. Not a whole lot of stuff, but Google keeps changing Google Photos all the time. And I figured it was time to make some changes to the book. If you want the PDF, now it's not updated on Amazon yet, but if you want just the PDF of the updated book, there are two ways to get it. It's on the geeksontour.com store for $7.95. It's a PDF, or it is a free download for members. And I just want to show you where that is. So if you go to geeksontour.com, right here, store is what I'm talking about to buy it. And there you go. Mrs. Geek's Guide to Google Photos PDF, updated July 2017. Now, if you are a Geeks on Tour member, then all you have to do is log in and you will see a link to all of our ebooks. All our ebooks. Click there. And there is Mrs. Geek's Guide to Google Photos, and it is yours as part of membership. And this is the updated one.
Very cool.
All right. That's my quick tip.
I like it. Okay. So, Chris, where are we now?
We are in Indianapolis, Indiana. And we are in our new little RV.
Yeah, this is a little bit different.
We've been teaching classes and helping people with their smartphones all week here at the FMCA International Convention. We've been busy.
Yeah, we've been working pretty hard here. It's been fun, though.
And we have a really good Verizon internet connection.
And so we can do this
So we figured we'd do this. So can you tell? We are in the seat. He's in the driver's seat and I'm in the passenger seat of our Road Trek camper van. We have them turned around and facing the back of the van. And we have all sorts of equipment in front of us.
And we can't move.
We can't move, no. But everything did fit.
Right. We have a regular studio here, and we're hoping that this will work for us as we travel this month and next in the RV.
This should be fun.
All right. So today's class, we'll have beginner's questions. We've been all week taking questions from our folks around here, and this gives us great ideas. So we'll have frequently asked questions from beginners. And if you have questions during the show today, use the YouTube chat window. I saw a couple of people in there. And we're not going to do an after show hangout because we got to get on the road and get down the road to another rally, but we'll try and do it next week. By Wednesday afternoon, this episode, along with the notes, will be posted at thebuttonshow.com, and you can leave comments there, and we do encourage that too. All right. We do invite you to become a member at geeksontour.com. Just go to our website and click on the link there.
If you go to our website at geeksontour.com and click on weekly class, that's where you'll see all the archives of every episode of this What Does This Button Do show.
Mm-hmm. Ready?
Still need a little more volume.
Okay.
Just for you. I'm good. So beginner's lesson today is frequently asked beginners questions. We had a lot of questions this week. And most of them were pretty specific to those people's phones and their particular needs. But I've given it a lot of thought and tried to come up with just a handful of questions that I thought would be beginning enough and generic enough to work for a beginner's lesson here. So let's give it a shot. First thing I really want to harp on is when you're learning about smartphones and tablets, we think it's really, really important to learn concepts and not step-by-steps, because specific steps will change from phone to phone, and even on the same phone when you get updates, things will change. But if you've understood the concepts behind what you do, then you'll be able to figure out the steps. So we really try to teach concepts. For this particular show, I'm going to be using both an iPhone and an Android phone. I won't show all answers on both. I'll kind of switch back and forth, but be assured that everything I'm showing on one and teaching the concepts, it does work on the other in almost exactly the same ways in some of them, or at least in similar. So understand the concepts and you'll be able to figure it out on your phone. The second thing about learning is to explore and discover on your device. For example, buttons can be not only tapped, they can be double tapped, and they can be long pressed. So that I do want to I want to show you. But before I leave this slide, just if you are into learning, and if you're watching this show, I assume you're into learning.
We hope so.
I highly recommend subscribing to our newsletter. That's free, and watching this weekly show. It's free. All right, let me show you an example of press versus double press versus long press on the iPhone. So this is, I'm going to show you here the number one button on an iPhone, and that is the home button. There we go. The home button is the round button at the bottom of the phone. Now what? Trying to...
Oh, that light got turned off.
Oh, right.
That's the problem. There we go.
There we go. So the home button is just the round button at the bottom. And let me just go somewhere. So for example, I'm going to Gas Buddy. Now, if I'm done with Gas Buddy and I want to, come on, bad example. All right. I say, oh, I don't need Gas Buddy right now. I'm doing something else. All I do is press the home button once, and that gets me back home. And if I'm on a different screen of my home, I press it once and it takes me to my number one screen. But that's not all that you can do with the home button. If you double press it, that is your recently used apps. This is where you can see all the apps that you have recently used. And pressing the home button once gets you back to the main screen. And then third is long press. If I press and hold on the home button, what's the home button to get to the home screen? What's the weather today? Okay, so long press on the home button brings up Siri. So one press, two presses, or long press does something different with the same button. And sometimes it won't. I mean, on my Android phone, double tap the home button doesn't do anything, but long press does do something. So I just encourage you to explore all your buttons. Now, here's a beginner's question that we absolutely did get a lot. And that is, what is the cloud? Now, we've done whole shows on this, so I'm just going to be kind of brief here. But it's what is the cloud and why do I need it? I want to explain a little bit about why you need it. And that is, these little bitty things are computers.
They're very powerful computers.
And they have made all the components of a computer just very, very, very small. But the one thing that needs to be expandable is storage. So on a computer, I know that you all bought hard drives that got bigger and bigger and bigger. We started off with, what, 20 megabyte hard drives?
Some of us with smaller ones, yeah.
And then we went to gigabytes worth, and now we want a terabyte worth of space. How do you do that in a phone? You can't. That's where the cloud comes in. So people that say, I use my smartphone, but I don't use the cloud. Sorry, yes you do. Because everything cannot fit on these things. So whether you know it or not, your phone is going out to cloud storage services for stuff.
For the stuff that it uses.
And very specifically for stuff like your photos. Every company has its own cloud service. So cloud simply means...
Cloud is a generic term.
Right. It means somewhere that's not on your device.
Right.
It's out there somewhere. And since we really don't understand exactly where, we just call it cloud. So if it's not on the device and yet you see it, it means it's in the cloud. But each company has its own. I mean, how is your phone going to find stuff? It needs to know what company to go to and then what account.
And that's the key, is the accounts.
Your accounts are key. So if you're using the cloud, if you're using Apple's iCloud, you have to have an Apple ID username and password. If you're using Google Photos, you have to have a Google username and password. If you're using the Verizon Cloud Backup Service, you need to have a Verizon username and password. Now, this is one that really blows me away. I don't know how Verizon got away calling their service cloud.
Really? What a deal.
And it's so confusing to users because they'll get a message that says, you're out of cloud space. Click here to buy more.
Oh, yeah. And you can, other places just say, yeah, you're out of, buy more. And people are so confused about what they're buying, what they're getting, and how to handle it. So, yeah, it's been a real problem.
But the more you learn, the better it gets. We use primarily the Google Cloud.
Right.
Because at least for photos, it's unlimited for free. I also use the Microsoft OneDrive cloud, though, because if you own the Office apps, you get a terabyte for free, and that's plenty.
But a lot of folks here are using iPhones, and when they got their iPhone, it was set up with an iCloud account, and they get 5 gigabytes, and then they run out because they're taking pictures, and they say, what will I do? And they have to delete something.
And it's only 99 cents for more.
Yeah.
But you need to understand what it is you're paying for and whether or not you really need it. Mm-hmm. So that is a big question that all beginners have. What is the cloud and why do I need it? And I just want to show you how you would get to the discussion that we did on one of these past shows. And that's called Class Highlight number 5. So the way you get to any of our past shows is to
open a browser,
is to go to geeksontour.com.
Okay.
And then the menu item called weekly show, weekly class, weekly class. I like that better than show. Weekly class. And then right on that page, these are all of the actual episodes. But if you click on show highlights, I'm just starting to pick pieces of shows that I think are particularly useful. Number 5 is explanation of the cloud. So if you want a little bit more on that, that's how you get there.
Wow, that's a great tip.
All right. So back to here. Next, beginner's question. And we did get a lot of this week.
Oh, yeah.
They say, I don't like where these icons are on my screen. How do I put them where I want them?
Or how did this get here?
How did this get here? Right. So I'm going to start with the Android this time. And just know that this works, actually, it works exactly the same on the iPhone. So you're looking at my Samsung Galaxy S5.
Bring it down a little.
And I have several home screens. And you can see which one I'm on by the white dots down at the bottom. And all the way at the last, there's one icon all by its lonesome for Keep. And this is an app that I use quite often. I want it on my first screen. All you do is long press. Remember, there's single press, double press, and long press until you can tell when it gets kind of attached to your finger. Now, I don't want to just move it around this screen. I don't want to uninstall it. I don't want to remove it. I want to put it on the first screen, which is over to the left. If I bump up against the left, notice how it moves until I get to the leftmost screen, and then I drop it off. So that is how you move an icon to a different screen. Another thing that people like to do is save space by putting a bunch of icons together. Like I have here in my travel. I have 4 icons in one icon's space. That's called a folder. And the way you do that, let's say for some reason I want to put Keep and Hangouts together in one folder. Long press until you can tell that you've got it and drag it on top of another one. It can be tricky. Oh, come on. There. When it highlights, you know that you have now combined those 2 into one. And if you want to give it a name, tap on it, tap where it says unnamed, and you can give this folder a name. I'm not going to bother right now. And that does work exactly the same on the iPhone. And if you want to learn more, you can go to episode 53, or you can just go straight to highlight number 25. Oh, highlight number 25 is about alphabetizing your iPhone apps, if that's what you want to do. Next question is, how do I ask my phone to do something? At the beginning of every seminar, when we teach our classes here at the rallies, I ask my phone to set an alarm for about 15 minutes before the end of seminar. So that's my notice that I'm supposed to be wrapping it up. And people wondered, how do you do that? And it's very easy. On the Apple devices, it's Siri that will take your instructions. On the Android devices, it's Google. So I have my iPhone on the screen right now, and all I have to do is say, hey Siri, set an alarm for 2:35. And I'm not sure if you heard that. She talked back to me and she confirmed that she just set an alarm for 2:35 p.m. And you can do other things like, hey Siri, send a text to Jim.
What do you want to say to Jim Gold?
Hey sweetie, I'm having so much fun in our little road trek.
Your message says, "Hey, sweetie, I'm having so much fun in our little road track. Ready to send it?"
Yes.
I'll send it.
All right. So, or my favorite thing is, hey Siri, navigate to Syracuse, New York.
Getting directions to New York.
Syracuse? She didn't get that quite right, did she? And Siri is going to bring up Apple Maps, and I don't use Apple Maps.
Starting route to New York. Head south on Winthrop Avenue.
All right, no, Andrew. Let me show you how I would do that on my Android. Okay, Google, navigate to Syracuse, New York.
Where to?
Syracuse, New York.
All right, it's 644 miles away. Tap to start navigation.
We're on our way.
All right.
I notice this uses Google Maps navigation, which
Right.
is our favorite. All right.
And we're on our way. So that's how. Now, if you try this on yours and it doesn't work, it might be that you don't have your settings set for Siri or for Google to be listening to you at all times. And I think that brings us to our next, no, any questions from them?
I saw one here. Let me try and find it here. Bill says, may we transfer our Verizon cloud data that is ending to Google Cloud directly without downloading first?
Sorry.
That's a great question, and we got that question a lot. Or how can I move my photos from one service over to Google Photos? And there's no connector out there that I know of.
I found one once.
And it didn't work.
And I couldn't get it to work. No. So let's keep looking. I mean, everybody out there, I currently know of no way to go directly from Verizon Cloud to Google Cloud. You have to bring it back to your computer or some device and then up to the other cloud.
Okay, let's see. Ellen says, I have thousands of pictures on my SG5 with Verizon. How do I delete most of them permanently?
You mean delete from your Verizon cloud as well as from your device? I know you can empty your Verizon cloud completely. I don't know that you can delete individual photos. Oh, there must be a way. I don't use Verizon Cloud, so I don't know. That would be a question for Verizon.
Okay. Richard says, you can also select an icon in a folder of icons and pull it out of the folder so it's by itself.
Yes,
and
exactly.
That's just the opposite of what Chris did there.
Yeah,
when she was putting one in, you just go to that folder and drag it back out. And
same thing with the long press on the app and then just drag it out of the folder, right?
And Laverne says her phone responded to the OK Google to navigate to Syracuse. And that happens in our classes too. So a lot of times we'll be doing our classes and Chris will be doing that, hey Siri, or doing the OK Google, and a bunch of phones.
Now actually that is changing though, because now that you can have the Google Assistant. The Google Assistant is a little different than just saying, okay, Google, you get to train it to your voice. I mean, I did that with one person here this week.
Yeah,
we opened up her Google,
right,
and said, turn it on. And it said, okay, say, okay, Google 3 times, and it trains to her voice. And then it wouldn't listen to me anymore.
Oh, sort of like me.
Okay.
Right.
I have a few more. Are we ready for a few more?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the next thing that I think is important for people to understand is about settings. And we did have several people this week ask about how do I make my screen rotate and how do I see my screen in bright sunlight. So let me try those. Let's see, what should I do? Android or I'm going to do both of them here because it's kind of fun. So what I mean by rotate, first of all, just in case you don't know what I mean by rotate, here is a picture. When I move the phone horizontal, it automatically rotates the picture so that it fills the screen horizontal. So they're supposed to do that automatically. A lot of people this week came up to me and said, mine isn't doing it.
Right.
Step one is to find the setting, and these are in quick settings.
Closer. Yeah.
So on the Android devices, most Android devices have quick settings if you touch and hold at the very top of the screen and drag down. And I'm talking about these along here. And here is, screen rotation. So on the Android, when it's on, it means it is allowing screen rotation. When you turn it off, it means it will not allow screen rotation. So if I go back to Google Photos now after turning it off and I rotate the phone, the picture is not rotating. So you down from the top, and sometimes you do have to swipe twice before you get it, and turn screen rotation on. Now it will rotate. But people who came up to me this week, even after we made sure their setting was set correctly, it still didn't work. So then what do?
You reboot the phone.
Exactly.
You actually power the phone completely off, making sure, and to do that, you press and hold the power button until something comes up, and power off or restart is what we tried to, and the time it happened for you and the time that it happened to me, it worked perfectly afterwards.
Yep. Reboot fixed it.
Reboot is my middle name. So yeah, if you look at the settings and they look right, just try powering it completely off and back on, and that usually does it.
Now on the iPhone, it's the exact same concept. You want to get to the quick settings, but instead of swiping down from the top, you swipe up from the bottom.
It's an Apple thing.
And instead of allowing screen rotation, their screen rotation button locks it. So if it's locked, it will not rotate. You have to go in here and unlock it. The other quick setting I wanted to make sure you know about is screen brightness. I've taken my phone out into the bright light and tried to take a picture, and I could not see the screen.
That happens to everyone, I think.
But I realized that, my screen brightness was turned so far down, even in the bright sunlight, if I turn my screen brightness all the way up, I could now see to take a picture.
Right, but my problem is if my screen is low, I get out in the sun and I can't see that control.
You can't even see to get to the settings, right? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And another one on settings is, how do I keep my screen from going dark so fast? So you know how you're looking at your phone and you're thinking and you're trying to get something done, and all of a sudden the screen goes black. And you say, wait a minute, I wasn't ready. I'm not done yet. Well, that's a setting. And that's a system setting, though. That's not in the quick settings. On an iPhone, it's settings and display and brightness. And it's called auto lock, because when it goes black, it is then in lock mode. So they call it auto lock. And if yours is set to 30 seconds,
that's too fast.
I guarantee you it's annoying you. Now, you should never set it to never, because the screen needs to go black often. Otherwise, you'll be using up your battery tremendously.
The screen and the display, they are the biggest battery hogs out there.
So we say 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah, I typically keep mine on 2 minutes.
Okay. And on the Android, it is a setting. Oh, I have to unlock it first. So you drag down from the top to get the quick settings. Now you tap the little gear to get into all settings. And it is a display setting, just like in the iPhone. But I like their wording better. Screen timeout. That makes sense. 10 minutes is pretty long. You'll be, and I do that because we've been using this in class and I didn't want it to go black while people were looking at it. Once again, 15 seconds will be way too short. 1 or 2 minutes is enough to help your battery, but not be annoying.
Yeah, and you might have some other kind of an app on there that allows you to vary those. I wanted to have one that was always on my Android, and my regular settings didn't allow that. So I went and I got another app that allowed it to stay on the whole time. So, just because, we show all of this stuff and the apps aren't always the same and always in the right place, but where there's a will, there's a way.
Where there's a will, there's a way. Except maybe with an iPhone, there's some things that you're not allowed.
Oh, this is true. Right.
Apple controls. So okay. Are there any other questions of theirs, or should I do one more of mine?
Let's see what we got. Richard says you can use 2 fingers to pull it down full screen instead of swiping down twice.
Excellent. Yes, yeah. Yes, I forgot about that.
It's that way on my Pixel phone.
Right.
My Google phone.
Well, now on my Android, I still have to tap the gear to get into the full settings, right. but 2 fingers is 1 swipe.
And his phone has a little button to click into to make it real bright for daylight. So 1 button for daylight. I like
Excellent.
That.
Yeah, I do too.
That's a nice idea.
Yeah, my Android phone is old.
Yeah, a couple of years.
No, but since I got a new phone in the iPhone,
never use it anymore.
I can't get a new Android yet.
No, I got the newest Android.
You do.
Yeah, but she has the iPhone. All right. So
I think that's good enough. Yep, there's my alarm that said this is the time for me to be done with my questions.
Okay. Well, we do invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com and search for Geeks on Tour. And like us on Facebook. I know you're on Facebook, and we appreciate the folks that like us there. Okay, an app of the week. I've been looking for an app of the week, and when we had our class this week, somebody suggested iExit, and I thought it was a great idea. We use some of the other tools out there, and so I loaded iExit on mine, and it's designed for the interstate. A lot of you are going to be with us traveling the highways this year, and iExit is great on the interstates because there is a book, a paper book that you can buy that has what's going on at all the different exits on all the major interstates. And this is the app that takes that place of that paper. And yeah, you open the iExit app on or near any interstate, and it just finds you because it's GPS aware. And it'll tell you how to get there and where to stop along the way. It has all of the major things that you need, the Cracker Barrels and the Walmarts and the truck stops, and they give you prices for the gas or the diesel and what's available at these stops. And then you can click on them and go right to them. It's actually pretty cool. Well,
I tend to use my All Stays Camp and RV for everything I want to find. But a lot of people this week, did tell us that they really like iExit because it knows where you are and you can look at.
And it's free, and it's available on Apple and Android.
And Android, right.
So it's a good thing to do.
If you're traveling the interstates.
Right.
That's all it has is interstates.
Right. But it's real handy, and we'll be spending a fair amount of time on interstates. We like the blue roads too, especially in this smaller rig, but we'll see how that goes. All right. Well, let's see. Is there anything else up here before we get out of there? Okay. Did you learn something? If you can learn the steps to perform a task, that's all you need. True or false?
False, 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 false.
Wrong.
Because it's going to change. So if you just have memorized the steps,
and we know people who do this all the
you're
time.
going to have. But if you learn the concepts, if you understand, then you'll be able to figure out the new steps when they change.
Mm-hmm. Okay, don't just ask, what does this button do? Ask what it does with 1 tap, 2 taps, and what else?
3 taps. No.
Long press.
Long press. Although there are some things that are 3 press.
And there are some things that are all harder press, especially on the Apples.
On the iPhone, there's if you 3 press or even 4 press on the home button, you've put it into an assisted mode.
Ooh.
And it can go all black and it can be odd.
And it can be scary if you do it by mistake.
If you don't know, yeah. But long press is the answer to that one.
Okay. Things like screen brightness and rotation control are available as quick settings. How do you see quick settings on Apple?
Swipe up from the bottom.
And on Android?
Swipe down from the top.
How many many tech companies offer cloud-based storage services. So match the company with the service name. Which one is Apple?
That is C, iCloud.
And Microsoft?
That is B, OneDrive.
Google's?
That is D, Google Photos. It's also Google Drive and Google Mail and YouTube. You know, there's a whole family of Google Cloud.
And they've just changed something on that too.
Yeah.
So we'll have some information on that next time. How about for Verizon?
Verizon is just called a cloud. How they get away with that, I don't know.
Be nice. All right, and where can you find all the episodes of these button shows, Chris?
Geeksontour.com, weekly class.
All right.
And under there, click on highlights, because I know you don't want to spend 45 minutes watching whole show, but the highlights are just that.
That's great, yeah. All right, what's the webpage that lists all of our weekly classes?
Geeksontour.com, weekly class.
And the webpage that lists all of our recent newsletters.
Geeksontour.com, and the menu item is blogs and news. You will find our newsletters under there.
Okay, great. And benefits of joining Geeks on Tour, becoming a premium member.
Complete learning library of prepared tutorial videos, asking us any questions in the member Q&A, the show notes or class notes, if you will, from all of these button shows, and some discounts on products and services, and all our ebooks, including the Google Photos ebook, which was just updated.
The one online is.
The one online is, yeah.
Right.
The one at
Amazon
and Kindle
is on its way. And again, we do invite you to become a member, geeksontour.com. Go to our website and click on the link to become a member. So next time we're going to, July 23rd, we'll be on the road. If we have bandwidth, if we have connectivity, we'll do a live show. We're not sure where we're going to be, so we don't know yet.
But we know we will be in this road trek, and I think we have it figured out.
Yeah, I think this will work. So watch for the posting in the show notes on Wednesday at thebuttonshow.com. And if you have an idea for a topic that you'd like to see, use the suggestion box. I think I saw one earlier here. Somebody asked if we would do, maybe I missed it. We'll try it. Oh, can you do a show on Google's new backup and sync? I just talked about that. Yeah,
not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We have to learn how to use it first.
That's between Google Drive and Google Photos. I'm going to have some experience with it before we do a show.
Right. So anyway, that's it for this week. What does this button do?
I'm Chris.
And I'm Jim, and we are Geeks on Tour, and we'll see you next time right here on YouTube. Keep pushing those buttons.
Keep pushing it. What does that button do?
Don't touch that button.
And double touch that, President.